Welcome back, fearless leaders. Today, in our mini but mighty leadership series, we're going to talk about something no one likes: difficult conversations. And you don't have to lie and say you don't mind them. Trust, I get it. If this is your first workshop with me, my name is Teresa. I'm your more living coach and ex corporate executive. In the email you received with the secret workshop, you also received a one pager that we'll use halfway through this. So grab a pen and paper and let's get started. Whether it's giving feedback, saying no, challenging a colleague, we all have those moments and conversations that make us sweat. But honestly, avoiding them only makes things worse. Trust is destroyed, problems multiply, and relationships suffer. Think of a time someone wasn't upfront with you or avoided having a conversation. How did that make you feel? Frustrated, confused, like you couldn't trust them? That's what happens when we avoid hard conversations. We tend to think that difficult conversations automatically mean conflict. But what if I told you tough conversations are actually opportunities for clarity and collaboration? When done right, they build trust, respect, and improve team dynamics. And this might sound unhinged, but once I unlocked having difficult conversations, I wanted to have them all of the time. Not to make others uncomfortable, but because I felt that having them helped the other person see a blind spot, maybe unleash an area that they would excel in, and just overall benefited their skills and performance. Taking them from okay or great to greater. And remember, the goal isn't to win an argument, it's to understand and help each other improve. A lot of times, leaders search for tips on how to give tough feedback without offending people. And I get it because feedback really can be hard to deliver depending on your relationship with that person. But the key is to approach it with a clear intent to help them and not harm. And language matters when you're doing that. In different learning, development, and psychology classes I've taken, I learned that using words like weakness and opportunities would instantly shut someone down. Because as soon as they hear those words, they're automatically done listening to you and on the defense. Even if you were doing that awful feedback sandwich technique that we're taught, but using phrases like a challenge that I noticed, or even asking them if they're in a good space to receive constructive feedback can go a long way. What resonates most with you and others when giving and receiving feedback? Are you even aware based on your past experiences? If you are, great. And if you're not, it's okay. We're going to deep dive into how we can overcome this. Here's the framework I use and teach: intent, impact, and bite. One, start with your intent. What's the purpose of this conversation? And think about it before you go into that conversation. Make it specific to their work and skills, not their personality. You can think of things like, are you open to discussing feedback on last month's project? Maybe the planning of our event happening this month? Or the communication between stakeholders? The effectiveness of problem solving that happened last week? You get where I'm going here. During the intent, ask them what are their thoughts on the subject before you jump into giving that feedback. Many times they will coach themselves or even answer the questions before you ask them. So give them a chance. If you have a strong level of trust already built, just start with, I want you to get better at X, and I feel you can do that by, and insert the feedback. This eliminates any, oh, I think you're great, but no one wants to hear that. Two, share the impact. How has this behavior or situation affected the team, project, or outcomes? And be specific about the consequences, not just people's feelings. For example, when deadlines are missed, it affects our client's trust and pushes back the entire project's timeline by 2 weeks. That becomes specific about what's happening versus saying, oh, it makes partners or stakeholders feel that we're being last minute. It's not about that. And three, invite them to evolve. Ask them for solutions or feedback on how they can improve before you give them the how-to guide. Like, what ideas do you have for improving this? And most importantly, ask them how you can help. As their leader, you want to make sure that you're part of the solution and providing direction or support depending on what they need and how. And it's not just about them improving, but it's about how they feel supported by the leader. That's when the feeling matters. That can make the feedback session go from sour to empowering. Get clear on their next steps, your next steps, and how you can follow up so they can shine too. My last tip that is super vital is to document this in writing, because when you have a place to start from the next time you chat or the next time this comes up, you'll both feel like you're on the same page. I used to have a leader that would say, if it isn't in writing, it never happened. And that methodology saved me so many times as a people leader. So I truly suggest it. Now, think about that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. With the one pager I sent you in your email that looks like this on the left-hand side, you're going to write a 3-sentence script using the intent, impact, and invite framework. It's time to stop avoiding and start confronting with purpose. So I'm going to share an example while you do this in case it helps or inspires you. Intent. I'd like to discuss the presentation style from yesterday's client meeting. What are your thoughts on it and how it went? Impact. When we go over the allotted time, it affects the client's ability to ask questions, which could impact us in the long run. And then invite. What ideas do you have for keeping us on track next time? How can I support you in managing your time? Now, I know that might sound like a silly example, but it's something that a lot of us experience day to day, and hopefully help you understand the framework a little bit more. Now, how is this making you feel as you write it? Are you feeling nervous, empowered, or something else? What is coming up for you? Maybe resistance because you're worried about their reaction? And if so, what could be some of those possible reactions and how can you respond to them? Or are you feeling a bit of relief because you finally have some structure? Regardless of the feelings, just notice them because they are normal and part of the process and will only help us prepare for future conversations. And lastly, let it be messy and let it be real. This is your time to practice. After today's session, take action and remember, progress over perfection always. Have that conversation within next week. Timing is everything, so don't wait a few weeks, a few months, or even a whole performance cycle before you provide that feedback, because that will only destroy trust and your credibility as a leader. Afterwards, write down how it went and what you learned. Ask them how they felt after the feedback. And if you could provide that feedback differently, what would they suggest or prefer? This is a great time to be vulnerable as a leader. And if you're uncomfortable, you can say something like, this is hard for me since I'm still learning how you receive feedback, and use that knowledge for your next conversation. We swiftly went over a simple but powerful framework to have difficult conversations without all the drama. You now have the tools to address conflict like a strategic leader and not an emotional responder. But here's the thing. Having these conversations requires protected time and mental energy. That's why a lot of people avoid them. You can't squeeze this in a 5-minute window in between meetings or through a chat. You need to be intentional about when and how you create space to have these crucial conversations. So in the next secret workshop, which is a bonus, I will show you how to protect the time and energy you need to actually do this effectively with strategic time blocking and habit hacking for 7-figure leaders. But first, I want you to complete your practice sheet and commit to having one conversation this week. And share your commitment with me on Instagram or in an email. Perfecting difficult conversations is a skill you can shine in. You just have to put in the practice. If you'd like help preparing and navigating these crucial moments, my one-on-one coaching will provide you with the tools and strategies to make this less stressful and more transformative, not only for you, but for your team. Think of it as your personal communication training ground, where you can practice, refine, and build confidence before the real conversations happen. I can't wait to see what you come up with, and I'll see you very soon. Ciao.